the United Nations Office of the Special Envoy on Road Safety, Mr. Jean Todt, for unwavering support throughout the review process. Esteemed delegates, we are hopeful that the report will sharpen and make good our road safety program going forward. The scientific and evidence-based findings have laid bare the gaps that exist in our road safety management. We are upbeat that the recommendations proffered by the experts shall adequately checkmate our deficiencies, with the view to propel structural, institutional, and administrative transformations leveraged by a robust legislative framework. As we begin to implement the recommendations around the main pillars of road safety management, we will galvanize our national road safety management system through updating the regulatory framework to include international and regional recommendations. We are in the process of acceding to the United Nations Road Safety Conventions, which we are not yet part to. My ministry has identified 5 road safety conventions. We will soon be placing before Parliament for accession, and I'll just mention these 5 in passing. The 1957 agreement, 1958 agreement concerning adoption of uniform technical prescriptions for wheeled vehicles, the 1968 Convention on Road Signs and Signals, the 1997 agreement concerning the adoption of uniform conditions, the 1998 agreement concerning the establishing of global technical regulations for wheeled vehicles and equipment. Ladies and gentlemen, notwithstanding the above statistics, allow me to reiterate Zimbabwe's commitment towards meeting the United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety 2021 to 2030. We have no doubt that these targets will be met as His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. Emmerson Damzo Mnangagwa, has shown us the way and launched Vision 2030, anchored on collective aspirations and determination of the people to achieve a prosperous and empowered upper middle income society by the targeted year. Furthermore, we adopted a transformational economic development blueprint, NDS-1, 2021 to 2025, and then 2026 to 2030. It envisages that by 2025, Zimbabwe should achieve high quality and efficient public transport service, leveraged by a safer, efficient, affordable, accessible, and smart multimodal transportation system. And this actually resonates well with our core values as a ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, deliberations at this Indaba are therefore timely for us as we endeavor to meet the above targets. In that vein, your contribution to the development of a reliable road safety ecosystem will be taken seriously, as that is paramount to the achievement of NDS-1, as well as sustainable economic development goals of our country. The anticipated outcomes of this Indaba are in sync with the Sustainable Development Goal Target 3 on halving the number of global deaths and injuries from road traffic crashes, and SDG Target 11 on providing access to safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transport systems, as well as to improve road safety for all. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this Indaba is, among others, to track and monitor progress in our efforts to reduce road crashes by addressing gaps identified in key road safety laws, infrastructure, vehicle standards, and access to post-crash care. The Indaba will guide our efforts in making our roads safer during this year going forward. Significant progress made during the previous year in the Emergency Roads Rehabilitation Program is laid the foundation for accelerated action to complement safety vehicles, appropriate drivers' attitudes with good infrastructure. These efforts towards building our road networks provide an opportunity for each and every one of us to be accountable from the actions we take on the road, especially the owners, operators, and those who are responsible for drivers and conductors who ferry the largest population of our citizens on a daily basis. And I'll pause here. Those who have been watching again from my good friends, the media fraternity. War of words, seat of Harare versus Zinara. And Zinara in our midst. Hanzi Maria, efano nge ishandiswa nani, Mari iri kudyiwa nani, handizveresiwo. And you wonder, because of the wise counsel of His Excellency, he declared a state of disaster on our roads. So I must put this very clear, especially to the people of Zimbabwe. And before that, we didn't have Zinara anyway. And if you look over the past number of years, 20 years or so, the sorry state of our roads, because we were not maintaining, our roads are weak, whether we are talking of those within our communities, they are weak, they've never been rehabilitated. Alas, the declaration, where we took over 40 roads that were supposed to be under the purview of local authorities. And there is no way the Minister of Transport can actually take over all the roads at one go. The assumption is, when I was appointed, and knowing very well from Parliament the accusations that Zinara is kuti pamari, I then agreed together with board and CEO to say, let's start broadcasting figures. Figures, they don't lie. So quarterly they started posting. Taendesa mari yakati ku local authority, Minister of Transport, DOR, taendesa yakakati. Then the talk yekunzi mari haisikuya mva yanyarara. Tafamba kanzi mari yacho ishoma. Yambe ngesiri kweyama kubvuma kuti yashoma manje. Ko shoma yacho alright. Chitiudzeyo kuti shoma yacho maiti sei. In most cases yaibhadhara masalaries. I've just cited one example. Then, end of year, we broadcast what we've given to various road authorities, of which we've got 4. And you then find that for you to tap into another allocation, you need to acquit, acquittals. The acquittals will give platform for us to assess and see how you've gone through your records, how you've taken charge of your affairs as an authority. And here comes the problem. Even if you say 2.4 million is nothing, but here 2.4 million. Look at the state of our roads in Harare. Whether tikutaura tuma small roads or kana kucheka uswa zvacho right 2.4 ingatadzere kucheka uswa kana kuti robot radzima 1 moisawo rimwe mogadzira zvingade mari yakawanda sei. So it's the attitude that we've demonstrated as a nation, where we are busy political grandstanding at the expense of the citizenry, which is something that cannot be tolerated going forward. And we've seen service delivery. We are not talking of roads. Just see the general presentation of the Sunshine City. Look at whatever is happening. But is it high time for us to point fingers? But I must thank Zinara for taking action and also continuing to disburse funds to local authorities. And we are also a beneficiary under Department of Roads in my ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate goal of this National Road Safety Indaba is to reduce carnage, traffic fatalities, and serious injuries on our roads. In most cases, the deaths and injuries associated with road traffic crashes are attributable to drivers. This obviously is major concern, but on the other hand, gives hope that as a country, we can in fact reduce carnage on our roads. And I usually communicate to my brother Frederick when it comes to drivers, the passion that he demonstrates. And at times he says, Honorable Minister, maybe some of our drivers, is it because of fatigue or so? There are a number of issues that will lead to such. Is it the working conditions? So these are some of the issues that will also deliberate over this Indaba. Indeed, mitigation can also be achieved through proper driver education and employment of safe driving practice. These practices include driving within the speed limit, refraining from the use of mobile phones while driving, refraining from street racing, and overtaking in driving situations where it is unsafe to do so. I therefore urge drivers to have the preservation of human life at heart every time they switch on their engines. It's pathetic again. Where you have got 2 lanes, you find someone traveling at 20 kilometers in the inner lane. And you wonder, why? Munotoita mudungo motikari kuseri, as if you are going through a procession. munhu iye kutotanga kumupuridzira bhero anenge akutita, and you know with some of these gestures on the roads, and you wonder what kind of a society we are at the end of the day. So these are some of the issues that would also be under the purview of Traffic Safety Council to raise awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, it is, however, extremely unfortunate that we begin this year on a very sad note, having experienced several disturbing road crashes, most of which were a result of reckless driving and negligence. Through collaborative efforts between stakeholders here present, we can find new and creative ways to make decisive interventions in this regard. We simply cannot continue using the same tactics that have had limited success in the past, hoping to achieve different results. I challenge all the stakeholders here present to embrace this opportunity presented by this Indaba to deliberate on issues to tame this disease of road carnage that is destroying our youth, families, and future. Ladies and gentlemen, on such key policy decision that government has made now in the transformation of Traffic Safety Council into an agency which will give it the power in addition to awareness and persuasion. Also enforce road safety regulations through coordinations and robust regulations of the road traffic actors. We believe with collaboration of the Zimbabwe Republic Police, VID, RMT, local authorities, transport operators, associations, operators, and other players, road safety targets will be met. It is important for you to note that we have embarked on a new trajectory of combing through all our laws to ensure implementation and enforcement in line with the provisions of such laws. Of late, we have invoked the powers of the Commissioner of Road Transport to cause suspensions of operators who breach the terms and conditions under which their permits and licenses were issued. Section 17, subsection 1, paragraph B, part 1 of the Road Motor Transportation Act, chapter 13-15, empowers the Commissioner of Road Transport to suspend the operator's license where it appears that there is disregard of the terms and conditions of this license. I've directed that this provision be implemented consistently with the view to weed out all errant operators from our roads. I want to appraise the Augusta House that soon after the very topical incident of Rimbi and Zebra Kiss along Mutoko Road, the numbers of video clips that I have received of a similar nature are frightening. Ungoona kuti vanhu vangu vakanyarara vachisvira mukati vachishaya kuti zvinozvoitwa sei. Buses are busy, and I'm sure my brother Nananga with the association and other associations in our midst. Mabhazi ari kumhanya. So the point now was Minister komadi kususpenda vamwe avo futi. Saka dai ndakatosuspenda mabhazi ese zvakagara kumba with those video clips. But let me warn bus operators. Zvasiyana kumhanya uri motikari mako uri 1 uchizvimhanyira hako kusina kana imwe motikari kufamba unokwira muti. Zvosiyana nekungokatakura vanhu 70 and start racing. You can imagine the disaster raigona kunge rakaitika even tikarasikirwa neupenyu 1. It's a precious life. The moment mabhazi paaimhanyisana side by side, and woimagine kuti dai raingorovana rimwe richienda neuku rimwe neuku, monzwa mashisi kwafa vanhu 120 because of excitement of our drivers. Honestly, and if you then invoke the section that I've just cited, again, tadzokera to my good friends, people of Zimbabwe, I struggle to find any message, especially in social media, of another nation inenge vachitukana pachezvavo. Handisanamboona ini. I can cite Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, handisaura vekure. Handisanamboona clip yevanhu vanenge vachitukana pachezvavo as varidzi venyika. To the extent yemuno munyika. It's so painful. That is why I was saying it's very emotional. Where you will then parade munhu anobva aona mwasinei neZimbabwe achobva aona kunge ndo zvinogara zvichiitwa every day. What picture? We are ambassadors. What message are we relaying to the outside world? Kuti Zimbabwe yacho ndo zvinogara zvichiitwa izvi. You really find people defending the nation. There the section has been invoked. vanobva vatotanga kuti haasika vanhu vacho zvamudaro mabhazi acho ambozviitirei akadii kugara azvigadzirisa kudhara ndiminista manje aidii kugara aita kuti mabhazi asamhanyisani. But we are saying kuti surely do you need to be educated kuti mabhazi amhanyisani murodi. And honestly what we are saying now is this is, and I also want to thank to a certain extent the responses. Yes, we've got the minority, but the majority were very happy with the decision, and which actually calls for more punitive measures to be taken by the nation. But my humble plea again to the people of Zimbabwe is, isu ndisu tega tinomhura nyika yedu, ndisu tega zvakare tinoisumudza. And you find that in a number of cases we are busy denigrating our nation. The energies that we then demonstrate towards negative publicity, kafambiro kanongoita negative messages, so ukacheka even ma tweets or ukacheka ma views of negative message versus good messages, you wonder. But above all, we are mandated by Section 61 expression of, we have to do the freedom of expression as citizens. But surely are we not abusing that? It's another Indaba again for another day. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to go back to my demonstration of indiscipline that we have seen on our road. Surely that is a nation tikawirwa nedambudziko ratakasangana naro. What is it that we are doing? Tiri kuchema here zviri genuine nevanhu vakarasikirwa. And imagine where you think, as much as you have got the right to approach the courts, we say let's come and reason together. We are suspending, we are not revoking. Let's reason together and have mitigatory measures going forward. Then you feel aggrieved. You wonder again, surely should we then let you continue in that manner? Toti ngatigarai pasi obva wamhanyira kumacourts kuti arwadziswa ndiani nyika newe. So this is a question again, kuti we are saying the fact of us reasoning together is to find a way forward that benefits the nation at large. Then one feels aggrieved. And I've got an incident of those that were suspended. One party decided to then approach the courts. But the unfortunate thing of approaching the courts, my permits in my route authority are not our ministry. I'm not frightening people. But you know, wabva court unongodzoka kuzoda imwe route authority futi. Saka imagine kuti ukama wacho une uchita sei. Anditi hatisi kuti tiri kuvhundisirana kuti aiwa musaende kumakoti. But I'm just telling you kuti the court is there as the last resort. Tambotadza kuwirirana pachezvedu. But the moment we then resort to kumacourts, we retard progress. And especially when we talk of human life, we cannot take it for granted that we need to safeguard the sanctity of human life. Ladies and gentlemen, on the legislative front, we found it necessary to review a plethora of legislation governing the road safety sector, the main focus being to provide for the digitalization and deployment of IT in the sector to improve our enforcement capacity as a country, while at the same time recommending fines which we believe will be deterrent to be offenders. And I'm sure I heard my fines edachitaura kunzi mamwe acho you wonder kuti imari yakaita sei. I can give you example, $2. The moment we review that, you also have an outcry. Hapana chakanaka chinomboitwa chinenge chisina kugarirwa. Tiri kuchema nhasi kuti mari shoma. Tikangoireviewa tinoona vakawandisa vanenge vachichema. But we are saying at times, is it deterrent? I can give you a good example in one of the countries where we try to actually persuade a driver taimhanyira pa-airport. Munhu akatambudzika. Paingosvika 120 so yangorira kudai andozi maiwe zvangu. Uchingopfuura ticket unobva rawaya pafoni. Hapana munhu akakutarisa hapana, but the systems. So the deterrent aspect we are talking about is now high time Look at our roads, even ourselves, we are also to blame. Driving on phones. Recently, another bus, I was talking to Vamkumba, Intercity. Bus rakabuda rikauraya vanhu 3 vanga vazvigarira. So I was asking zvakambofamba sei kanzi driver yangu kuti handizive angobuda mukona here from Norway bhazi riri right zvese zviri right uyo. So if in most cases vanhu vanenge vari pamafoni wakunouraya vanhu vakagara. So this kind of behavior, ladies and gentlemen, it is up to us now to take it seriously. And I also want to say that our reforms dovetail with the dictates of the Tripartite Transport and Transit Facilitation Program, known as TFP, Committee on Legislation under the COMESA, EAC, and SADC arrangement. We brace to achieve a groundbreaking milestone such as adoption of new license regime, advanced driver schools, regulations, road accident victim fund, transportation of dangerous goods, cross-border and road transportation, and license thereof. And again, stakeholders, it's high time. I was also talking one of our own this week, saying, I think it's high time we need another section under Highway Code of KETES. And what is this KETES kuma driving schools? KETES, imagine in a traffic jam, unoona mwachimhanya facing oncoming traffic. Iye ndiye ada kuenda ega. Apa mese muroda kuenda kubasa. So I think we also need to run with it. A module notozikanwa re-KETES, which we lack as motorists and as citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm preaching today, and you must forgive me. It's quite important that this topic was long awaited, and this kind of Indaba, again, long awaited, which we also need to be on the same footing. As we all know, Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe was given impetus by the government of Zimbabwe through the budget statement to become the country's lead agency in road safety management. It is, however, imperative that all stakeholders in the transport family, including our beloved stakeholders from the private sector, come together and work collaboratively in a manner which initiates and strategize to reduce road crashes in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, taking note of the challenges that families of victims and survivors of road traffic accidents face, government is in the final stages of operationalization of the Road Accident Fund. The current legislative reforms I've already alluded to will also provide for the formation of a no-fault road accident fund, which we are targeting to be operational this year. This will be situated in an amendment of the Traffic Safety Act. We believe with this kind of a move that we are taking, we'll actually try as ordinary Zimbabweans to make sure that we run with this noble cause. The legislative reform initiative I have alluded to is also covering issues related to registration and monitoring of driving schools. Introduction of the penalty point system for drivers who flout road rules, unveiling of corporate veil in a manner that will allow owners of public service vehicles who authorize or turn blind eye to drivers who do not meet the minimum driving prerequisites for that grade. We believe that this is tantamount to criminal negligence, which should be treated as such, and very tough penalties should be meted to such minded people. And I must be very firm on this particular move that we are going to take as a nation to mitigate some of the challenges that we are facing. Ladies and gentlemen, while the current legal statutes have been focused on alcohol abuse, we believe the time has come for us to broaden our focus to include other mind-altering drugs as well. We know these are being abused by some members of society, and the current legislative review will now include them. I'm therefore pleased to note that this is one of the issues to be covered at this Indaba. Ladies and gentlemen, my ministry has since adopted a systems approach to road safety stakeholders, working in glove with Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, VID, and NRZ in a bid to reduce the risk of traffic-related crashes and injuries in our country. Various joint road safety campaigns, also including ZRP, have been conducted, covering schools, highways, public transport, urban and marginal areas. These campaigns are in line with improving road safety with the targeted vision of preventing 25% of road traffic deaths and injuries by 2025. As the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure Development, we emphasize on the importance of taking a holistic approach towards road safety, and we call all upon departments, associations, and civic society gathered here today to have a continued spirit of improving the worthiness of our public service vehicles, behavioral change, and interest road safety this year going forward. I look forward to seeing the task force of men and women at work along our roads, sensitizing and enforcing the laws to ensure that our roads are safe. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage all stakeholders to possess the spirit of oneness and togetherness and continue having interactive dialogues, conferences, public hearings with our sector, regulatory agencies on how we can best invest in road safety and to improve the situation of our roads that will ultimately restore sanity and order on our roads. And our constitution again is very clear under section 141, where even Parliament is mandated to seek and solicit views of the public. Saka hapana mtemo unozonzi ndewaniki, because we are the owners and we must demonstrate that. Ladies and gentlemen, as echoed by our principal and president, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, that nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Let us all work together in overcoming the challenges associated with hindering the prevalence of relevant road safety in our great nation. Ndoda kutendai mose and also humbly appeal to the people of Zimbabwe. Kungonzwirana rudo nekutakurirana mutoro, I think is missing in our midst. To be tolerant, I think is also a missing factor in our midst. To be good ambassadors of our nation. And indeed, truly, if we embrace this spirit of oneness, I think we'll go far as a nation. I want to thank you so much. Sinotenda siyabonga. Twalumba.
Thank you. That was the Honorable Minister of Transport, Infrastructure Development, Honorable Mona. Your speech, sir, the speech was pregnant with statistics, harrowing, heartbreaking, mind-boggling. Per day, 15 deaths. Per month, a number of deaths. Per year, 10,000 injuries. This speech also touched on the role that the media can play, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are lessons there for all of us. And I think it will also trigger debate during this Indaba. The minister also touched on the decade of action against road crashes. It began in Accra, Ghana, 2010, targeting reduction by 50% of road crashes, which was then reviewed 2020 to 2030 on the same target. The disbursement of funds also mentioned there and how it can contribute to road safety. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Say, thank you for your wise message. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, with all those takeaways from the Honorable Minister's speech, maiden speech, the session is now getting to a break where we are now going for a tea break, come media briefing. During the same period, that is going to last for 30 minutes, and I am encouraging delegates and all to be punctual. Then another piece of message from the organizers is that during the same break of 30 minutes, we are encouraging all the presenters who are coming during the second session, presenters that include Engineer Jana, he is topping the list there, Mrs. Beach Mao, Mr. El Mashaya Mombe, the three of them, to submit their presentations with the IT staff. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting is adjourned. Sorry, there is a message here. Oh, facilitation. Okay, thank you. All right. Point of correction there. Those that are presenting from the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, Mr. Msengezi, Mr. Masiambiri, Professor H. Matarira, and the Department of Roads. Sorry, the ones that I've mentioned there are doing the facilitation. Thank you very much, good doctor. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think the meeting and program is adjourned until the next 30 minutes when we resume. Thank you all.